In this video, we're going to take this Samsung Galaxy Nexus and turn it into an Ubuntu phone. So let's get to it. Now, you can make an Ubuntu phone out of a Samsung Galaxy Nexus or an LG Nexus 4. You can also put Ubuntu Touch on a Nexus 7 or a Nexus 10 tablet. Now, I might try that down the line on my Nexus 7 if I like Ubuntu on my phone. So first things first. So what you're going to need for this process is a computer running Ubuntu and, of course, one of the previously mentioned phones or tablets. Now, I've never done this before, so I'm going to do it for the first time as you see it. But I'm assuming that the process is identical whether you want to put Ubuntu on your phone or your tablet. Now, what you see here is the Ubuntu Wiki that outlines this process. And if you look in the description down below, you'll see a link to this page. Now, there are a couple things that you have to do to prep your Ubuntu laptop before you can actually get this process going. So I'm just going to scroll down here, and you're going to have to go into the Ubuntu terminal. I've done this a couple of times in the past. If you're not familiar with Linux, don't worry, it's not that intimidating. So it outlines the entire process here. You just follow it step by step, and it says press Control-Alt-T, and that's going to bring up the terminal. And that's what the terminal looks like. Now, the first thing it's going to have us do, let me pull this down so I can actually read it and type in the terminal at the same time, is it wants you to type sudo add-app-repository ppa phablet-team/tools. So I'm going to type that in here, sudo, which I believe stands for super user do, space add-apt repository. And it's a little difficult for me to type here because the tripod and everything is in front of the keyboard, so I'm kind of doing this from the side. And let's see, we have another space here, ppa phablet -team/tools. Now hopefully this works. If not, there's an alternate method. Okay, it's asking for my password, so I'll enter that in. Okay, it says you are about to add the following PPA to your system. Press enter to continue, which is what I want to do. If you want, you can actually cancel it with Control-C, but that's the entire reason I'm doing this is to actually add this in. So it added in the PPA. Now, as I mentioned before, if this didn't work, it gives you an alternate method to actually add this in manually. But then it goes down here, and I'm not sure if I have to do this still because this worked, but it says sudo apt-get update and then sudo apt-get install phablet tools. I'm going to do this anyway just in case. I don't think it's going to hurt. Again, I'm kind of a noob as far as all this is concerned. If you're interested in my Linux experience, I have several videos posted on my 1 month in Linux, and don't worry, there's going to be more of that posted very shortly. So let me just type this in here, sudo apt-get update. Okay, there we go. Some of the files failed to download, they have been ignored, or old ones used instead. Okay, and let's do sudo, and again I'm just reading all of this right off of here, so the link down below in the description is going to be very helpful to you. But sudo apt-get install phablet tools Android -tools -adb Android -tools -fastboot. Alright, reading package list. Alright, it says after this operation 6,200 kilobytes of additional disk space will be used. Do you want to continue? Of course I do. Got to put in a capital Y. And it's doing what it needs to do. Now the next step in this process is to unlock the device. And I don't have my phone unlocked, so I'm going to walk you through that. But we'll just see how long this takes here. I do like to be a completist in my videos, just to give you the entire picture. And if this does get really long, I'll speed this process up. Nope, all set there. So the next process is we're going to unlock the phone. Okay, step 2, device unlock. Now you have to have the phone off, which it's off right now, in order to get this process started. And what you're going to do is you're going to power on the device by holding the power button. In the case of the Galaxy Nexus, it's on the right side of the phone, and then the up and down volume keys at the same time. So get the up and down volume and then turn it on. And there we go. We're in the bootloader screen of the device here. So the next step is to actually plug this phone via the USB cord into my laptop. So I've got the cord that comes with the phone, and I'm just going to plug it in and then plug that in to the computer. So the next step, we have to go back into the terminal. So I still have my terminal window. If you close yours out, again, it's Control-Alt-T. So what I'm going to have to do in the terminal here is I'm going to have to type in sudo space fastboot space OEM space unlock, and then hit enter. Now you notice over here on the phone it changed to unlock bootloader. Now for those of you who've rooted your phones, this is probably something very familiar to you. If you're not familiar, like myself, I've never rooted a phone before because I like to keep things as stock as possible. This is something new to me. So it says here, if you unlock the bootloader, you will be able to install custom operating system software on this phone. A custom OS is not subject to the same testing as the original OS and can cause your phone and installed applications to stop working properly. To prevent unauthorized access to your personal data, unlocking the bootloader will also delete all personal data from your phone, basically a factory reset, which in my case is fine because I don't have anything on this phone. I purchased it expressly, explicitly to put Ubuntu on it. The next thing it says here is press the volume up and down buttons to select yes or no, then press the power button. So obviously the touch doesn't work on here. We're going to have to use the volume down to go to yes, and then the power button to select. So in very small text here it says that the lock state is unlocked and the fast boot status is okay. So the next step is to boot up the device, and that's by pressing the power button on the side here. And you get a little graphic here that shows that the phone is unlocked. It says Google and then an unlocked lock. And we're booting into Android here. Okay, the phone booted up into Android, and it's giving me the settings that I have to choose when you would set up a phone for the first time. So let me just go through that real quick. Okay, the phone is booted up, and now we're ready to move to step number 3, which is initial device setup. Now, the first part of step number 3 is to boot up the phone, which is good because we've already done that. The next step is to enable USB debugging on the device. Now, there's several different ways to do this depending on the version of Android that you're running. I'm running Android 4.2.2. So in order to do this, you have to go to Settings, About, tap on the build number 7 times to activate the developer options menu. So I'm going to go to the settings on the phone here, and I'm going to go down to About Phone, and then I have to find the build number, which is on the bottom here, and I have to tap it 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. You are now a developer, it says. Well, if that's the case, can I attend Google I/O? Probably not. At least not this year. Anyway, so now I'm able to access the developer options. So it says here that to enable USB debugging via Settings, Developer Options, and then USB debugging. So let's go to Settings, Developer Options. Let's find this somewhere down here. Okay, it's been added down here above About Phone, Developer Options. And then I have to enable USB debugging, which is the selection here. You probably can't see it. So I get a pop-up screen here that says Allow USB debugging. USB debugging is intended for development purposes only. Use it to copy data between your computer and your device. Install apps on your device without notification and read log data. So I'm going to hit OK there. So it gives me another pop-up window here that says Allow USB debugging, and it says cancel or OK. Now the next step in this process would be to plug the phone into the computer, but I never unplugged it from the process that we were doing earlier. So I'm just going to hit OK on these dialog boxes here to enable USB debugging. Now the last step in step 3 is to save the version of the current image on the device. And I know that I have Android 4.2.2 on here, so if and when I decide to take Ubuntu off of this phone, I can always revert back to it. So we're moving on to step number 4. We're almost there, and we're going to have to go back into the terminal. Step number 4 is deploying image to device. To install the Ubuntu Touch Developer Preview on your device, you will need to execute the command below. Please note this will wipe the contents of the device, so ensure you've made a backup. To install and get updates, run the following command. So I'm going to have to go back to the terminal here, and now would be the time to back up any data you have on your phone. As I told you earlier, I bought this phone explicitly to put Ubuntu on it, so I don't have anything on there. But if you have pictures, music, whatnot, now would be the time to back it up and get it off of there. So I'm in the terminal here, and I'm going to type in what it says here, which is phablet-flash space -b space -l. And it's doing its thing. I've got 1% done so far. So it seems to be moving not too slow, but too slow to have you watch the entire process. So it says estimated time here is another 8 minutes or so, 8.5 minutes. Actually, it's going up to 9 minutes now. So I'll spare you sitting through just watching this do its thing. And through the magic of editing, I'll join you on the other side of this when it's done. But I'll keep the camera rolling just in case anything interesting happens. Okay, it looks like everything completed, but it loaded back up to Android over here. So it says here the device needs to be unlocked for the following to work. So let me put in my password here. And here we go. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So it says once completed, the device should reboot into Ubuntu. So we have the little Android over there. And the background is purple, which is, if you're not familiar, one of Ubuntu's colors. So I think everything is working properly here. So I'm actually pretty excited to get Ubuntu running on this phone here. And I will be using this phone as, I'm going to try and use it as my daily driver. I mean, there's a couple of things that I'll probably miss from Android, but I still have my Nexus 4, and as of filming this video, I have two separate numbers. The phone that I'm going to be using, the Ubuntu phone, will be my old AT&T SIM, which I haven't gotten rid of yet. And then if you follow my channel, you know that my Nexus 4 has Straight Talk Wireless on it. So I scaled back my AT&T to be paying about $45 a month. I pay about $45 a month over on Straight Talk. So the two numbers together cost about as much as the AT&T contract did initially. Okay, the device is rebooting. I'm pretty anxious here, because as I've said before, this is the first time, there we go, Ubuntu is on the phone. Very, very cool. This is the first time I've ever put a different operating system on a phone, so it's sort of a watershed moment for me, because I've been doing it for years on actual computer hardware, but never on a phone. So let me just show you right here, Ubuntu on the phone. I think we're good to go to actually unplug this from the computer. So why don't I do that, and then we'll just focus in on the phone, which obviously has the wrong time. Now, if you know anything about this operating system, or even if you don't, the Ubuntu Touch version, it's basically operated from the sides. So you can swipe in from the right, swipe in from the left, swipe up from the bottom, and swipe down from the top. So let's see, it says 14 tweets received. That's probably just for demo purposes, because I don't have anything linked up with this account. Again, the time is wrong here, but let's see if we can swipe down from the top, from the bottom. This is actually the lock screen, or what they call the welcome screen. So if I remember back to when I saw this demoed for the first time, you have to swipe in from the left-hand side. So let's see. Okay, that's what that does. So when you do swipe in from the left, you get your dock here, and you can select all the different options here. So it's made for basically one-handed use. Let's try it with my thumb here, and you can move up and down the list here. What you have for default apps here, it says Media Player, Ski Safari, which is a game, Notepad, Music, Gmail, Twitter, Browser, Facebook, Gallery, Camera, Phone, and then Home. So let's go to the home screen here. And you have frequent apps. I don't know if those work yet. Some of them I think are just for demonstration purposes. Favorite people. You have what would be your, as I swipe in from the right there, what would be your contacts here. These are just people I don't know. It's just showing for demonstration purposes here. And let's keep going down the list here. People recently in touch. So it gives your most contacted people, recent music you've listened to, videos popular online, and then that's it. And you get a little nice bounce there. So, and it seems pretty responsive, which is actually pretty cool. So let's just go into the phone app here. And I clicked on phone, and we have a couple of options down here. It says there's a music icon, a people icon, a home icon. I don't know what that is, and a play icon. I really want to try this phone app. There we go. Hit it again. And I don't have a SIM card in here. I will be putting a SIM card in here. Again, I want to try and use this, but this is what the dialer looks like. And let's see if the volume seems to be all the way up. So it doesn't appear that there is a noise to when you type in. But if I swiped in from the side here, okay, let's see what happens here. Okay. It's switches between your open apps, I believe. So, okay. There's a difference between swiping in from the side. So if you swipe in from the side, it moves to the apps that you have open. So it's toggling between the two because I only have two open here. But within the caller here, I can swipe to the side and it would give me my contacts. It says conversations here, so I would assume it's all different kinds of conversations, text messaging, and I don't know what you can link up to this, but okay, there's the contacts. So you can swipe through these. So there's 3 fields here for the calling app. So let's see. Okay, if you swipe in from, I'm getting used to this myself, so if you swipe in from the left without going down to the program list, it just brings you to the home screen. So swiping in from the right toggles between the apps, and then just swiping in from the left brings you back to your home screen, and then swiping in and holding, you can choose the apps that you want. So let's just look at Twitter real quick and see what the Twitter app looks like. Okay, it says network error. I should sign into my home wireless network, so let's see. If you swipe in from the top, you can see here, let me bring it a little closer. This is a very interesting swipe and hold, sort of like you do on the left-hand side of the phone. You can toggle between all your settings by swiping down. So let me show you again. Swiping down, the first icon is your messages. You move over to your sound. The next one is networks, and then the next one is battery. So it's basically a swipe and hold and date and time. Let's actually fix the date and time. So that's London time. Let's see if we can change this. I don't know exactly how you do it, but okay. Maybe I have to live on London time while demoing this phone. So you have, again, swiping in from the left, swiping in from the right, swiping down from the top, and you actually have a search over here. Let me see if I can do a tap on it to search. Okay, I don't know how that's working. Again, this is a developer build, so you shouldn't pass judgment on this right now because it's basically a beta. Later this year, in 2013, this will be released, and that's when you can actually make judgments on it. So let's swipe in from the bottom. Okay, let's go back to the home screen here, and then swipe in from the bottom. So let's go back to the home, and swiping in from the bottom. Okay. So I don't know how I brought up that search there. Okay, by tapping search I can search things, and I think it's a universal search, sort of like Ubuntu on a laptop. You would type into your search and it pulls up things that you have on your device and whatnot. But this is what the keyboard looks like, and I don't want to go too in-depth on this right now because I'm going to give you another video of my impressions on this and anything cool I found out about it. So this is just pretty much setting up the device and a little bit of an overview of what it looks like when it's actually on the device. So if you're interested in finding out more about Ubuntu on a phone, click on the link at the end of this video, because I will be doing at least one more video on this, if not several. So that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And if you'd like to help out my channel, give me a thumbs up or favorite this video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.